Alright, hi everyone. So I'm back and I have a rotor build tutorial. So any flat copters which are like 4 blocks or below, or just copters in general, you can use these connections in like a mix and match orientation, but because I specialize in 4 tall copters mostly, I will be using those as an example. And I have my palette of parts right there, so I don't have to reach into my inventory every single time. Let's go ahead and get started. So first you want to grab a rotor, right? And the thing about 4 tall copters is because your profile is very flat, you don't want to increase your profile too much. Otherwise, why are you even building a 4 tall copter? You want to keep it as low profile as possible. So typically, what I used to do is grab the nearest block possible right here. We'll go like this, and then I'll stack the rotors in the back, which makes it a lot easier and shorter. This makes for a shorter 4 tall copter, but then your overall height is very massive because this is 4 tall, and then you have all the way down here. Like front profile is frankly very high, so instead of doing that, I just go 1 block below, so basically make a line straight backwards from this rotor right here all the way to the back, and then grab the nearest block and put it right there. And then how close your back rotors will be will depend on how close your what gun you use. If it's either MSMG or Mega Rail typically. If you use anything else top mounted on the copter, I don't know what the fuck you're doing honestly. Like chain, you should be using side mounts or double chain. You should never top mount chain, otherwise you're gonna get fucked up pitch. MSMG and plasma. If you're going to sync with plasma on a copter, you might as well just use a plane. And mortar, okay, mortar. I guess mortar's fine, but mortar's so small it wouldn't really matter. There's either Mega Rail or MSMG, but typically you want to go 2 blocks above, go all the way behind, and then go back until you can place the rotor like that. And then you want to go 2 blocks backwards, 2 or 1 block. So it really depends on how you want to set this up. But your rotor establishment overall will look kind of like this. So this is the blocks where you put your rail or your or your MSMG, like that. So this is your rotor setup. Now, how do you make connections? So for rotors, you want to on a copter, you always want to use your rotors as split protection. I tell this to literally every single person I ever watched or guided how to build a copter. You want to use your rotors as split protection no matter what. So what you want to do for your front and back rotors is basically just do whatever on the front, and this one you can go like this, or you can go like this, and then send it slightly forward to the middle area. But whatever you do, don't leave your rotor mounted near the center area. Just make sure it's off to the side, so that you can use it as split protection. And this keeps your rotors alive longer, and it also adds, I say it again, but it also acts as split protection. And also, because your rotor mounts are separated from each other, when you take damage directly to the rotors, your center area, which is preferably not damaged since it's where your internals will be, your center area will be safe, and your damage will be spread on the outside area of the bot. And the biggest question is, what the fuck do we do with these rotors? So there are like 3 ways to deal with these rotors. So the first way is the most simple way, the one that a lot of people use. Just do this and then do this, this and this, and then this and this. So this is like very typical, right? And then you want to have one pair, so basically the outside one's going to the front to middle area, and then this one to be towards the back, no matter what you do. Every single time you want to do that. And then you want these rotors, so you want this to be on the bottom area of the back, and then the inside one you want it to be the top area of the back, so that you have a rotor connection established in the top and the bottom. So you would actually just do this instead. So you'll have one connection here and one connection here, and then you'll make sure that this area and this area is isolated to an extent, so that your rotors are separated. However, if you do this, then having one area blown off can destroy an entire rotor. Like let's say your top area like this. Let's say you have like block slam over here, and then you have a mega rail just go through this entire thing. You lose an entire rotor, and you don't want that to happen. Which is where the second example comes in. This one's a little bit more complex. So you want to do this, and then run a rod straight through. And then that's your inside connection. And then you want a second inside one, but you want to do it right here. Or I guess you can do this. Because these are tier 2 rotors, you're not restricted by rod connections. So you want to just be creative with it. Do this, and then do that. And then now, you want to grab this, and then you want to always use a long rod here so that you can weave this through. And then grab a rod like that. Grab a rod like that. Like so. And then do like that. Like that. I guess this is a little ugly, but I guess you can, if you don't like too short rods because they look ugly as fuck, you can also do this as well. But remember that this is less HP because light cubes, and this is rods at the HP per CPU of medium cubes, and light cubes are less than medium cubes. So yeah. So what you're doing here is basically you're establishing a connection for the two back rotors separately. This is what Rubicon really likes to do as well. And this way you can have this, even if your top area like this is destroyed, this rotor will still be attached in the middle front area, and this rotor will be attached in the middle front area, and vice versa. And the last option is when you're either lacking in CPU or space for routing. And typically I like to use this when I'm using a lot of secondary weapons, like instead of 2 modules I only have 1 module, and then like MSMG, and now I have like side nanos. I believe I did this on the Copter Alice as well, but what I like to do is bring this all the way to the front, just rod straight, and then because I said you want to use rotors as split protection, I'm gonna split these connections off to the side, like this. And then make sure this and this connection doesn't meet anywhere soon. And then what am I going to leave the single mounted? No, I'm not going to. I want to do this, and then what you want to do is move this rotor 1 block backwards. This will cause tiptoeing issues. I've never had I mean, you can prevent it using heavy cubes, but I want to keep my copters light, and tiptoeing has never been too much of an issue as long as my front part gets destroyed faster, which is like majority of the time since I'm using a camera tilt bot, which means that the weight in the back gets shifted backwards. So you want to do this, and then put a really long tick from your rotor to rotor. Like, I'm talking about insanely long, because you don't want one rotor getting destroyed resulting in the other rotor that's getting destroyed, right? So like this. How many ticks is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ticks. So you want about 9 to 11 ticks between the rotors, and make sure that your both your rotors reach block span before they reach each other, and preferably faster as well. And then you want to do this, and then these will just go to 2 parts of your bot. So what you're doing is essentially the similar thing as the second option, but you're basically attaching this rotor to the front area using this rotor, and vice versa. This is a little more risky because you're lacking a lot of connections, but it does work. And as I said before, always have 2 rotor connections that go to the front middle area, and 2 go to the top back, 2 goes to the bottom back, and the 2 goes to the front, bottom, or top. You can. It's preferable if you distribute between both top and bottom. Like, let's say it attaches the block stem on this point, and then you could like have a short rod that goes up, so that it distributes the damage between top and bottom. This prevents the issue of when you destroy both your bottom rotors and you shoot the middle, your entire bot just explodes when you're 4 tall copter. because of the amount of damage you take from this bot. So this is the rotor triforcing. Now let's get to the split protection. Your bot is 4 tall. It's very long because it's a 4 tall, and because of that, it's gonna be very fragile from the side. How do you prevent crits? So first of all, you want a rod that just goes front all the way to the back. It doesn't even matter. Like this long ass line, you need this. It is mandatory. You need something like this. And then what you want to do is basically just distribute your front back rods. So let's have something that goes from the front, but not all the way to the front, but like slightly backwards from there to there. And then you want a pair right like here. So you see how it goes from the slightly frontwards to the back, all the way to the middle. And this one does the same. And then you want the connection between these two, right? So you want to grab like here. Whoops. Do that. Okay. Do it like that. And then you want to grab connection that goes from. Oh, whoops. This needs to be a block higher. So this is what I like to do at least. So like these, all slightly from the back from the front, and slightly from the front to the middle, like this. I like to have it on the top and bottom of the bot, and then like the middle-ish connection, I like to have it in the back. In the out, like the middle area. Like that. Oh, whoops. Actually, I want to switch these up. Oh. So these are all your front block splits. Typically at least. Yeah, this should be enough. If it's not, then I'm not, honestly, your budget needs more integrity, because this has been enough for me a lot of the times. And then for your side to side, I like to have like one set in the front and then another set in the back. And the reason why I have so few is because I use my rotors as split protection. So sometimes I'll have one more set in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, just for if my bot crits a little too much from rail tests. But if well, a lot of times this shit's the best, because like I just said, I'm using my rotors as split protection. So in theory, I have a lot more split protection than just 3 side to side. And yeah, I guess this is the routing that typically looks inside of my 4 tall copters. If you want to dissect them. Also, I've never even used to color them, just gonna delete the shit. But yeah, this is what it looks like. I guess if you look at a lot of my 4 tall copters, I'll be using this sort of formula in almost all of them. 5 tall, I guess, a lot easier because you have a lot of block chunks. You have a lot of chunk that you can distribute your damage in, so you don't have to go as intensively in your split protection shit. But yeah, I hope this helps. And as for front back, you also sometimes use hovers. Like, what I like to do is have I'm gonna delete this for a second. So how to weave these rods into your internal sets is up to you in the macro. So what I like to do with my hover is have a connection that goes towards the front area, towards the side, and then have it also go to the back using a short rod, and then just routing it here. So this also adds like a mini split protection between the front and the middle back area. And then my back hover will act as up and down slightly, like a damage distributor, while also keeping it connected. And what I do with my rudder, it really depends. Sometimes I like to connect it nearby my hover in the block stem area. Sometimes I just connect it directly to the block stem wherever I want. It really depends on your preference. Would you like to use your rotors fast? Would you like to keep them? Not rotors, rudders. But yeah, this is my copter tutorial. Like everything else, like what you do with your internals and block stem, is really up to the bot itself rather than like a general rule that I like to follow. So I can't really help anyone with that. Also, make sure that these like split protection rods are separated from each other. Please do not link them together with each other. Like, I've seen way too many people do that, and they come to me and say, hey, what is my box trick? And like, dude, your split protection rods are linked to each other. You're just creating a explosion network that spreads damage across the crucial parts of the box. And I'm like, no, do not do that. So I guess this would be what it looks like typically. And then your internals will fit here, here, and then your gut on the top. But yeah, I hope you find this guide useful, and I'll see you guys later. See ya!